Hey, 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 welcome, welcome. I'm here with
Hi.
Michael and Tatiana to discuss Country Plays by Ann Petrie. So,
Cute.
let's just start simple and go around and give your like overall view of how you felt about the book. Is it the first time you're reading Ann Petrie, and like what you thought about Country Plays? So, who wants to start? Michael?
Yeah, you guys can go first. Ladies first.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well I'll go first. I enjoyed the story. I This is my first Anne Petrie. I gotta figure that out. Um, and I think what I liked the most is I think this is a good walk into her because one, that
Mm.
sounded weird. It is a short story, but also because it's a shorter story, you get gripped in by her writing. This is sounding very just wrong. You get pulled in by her writing and the way that she having never, I don't even know if this town is a real place, but if it is, I feel like I could make my way through the town with with no issue, just because of how well the descriptions are given, the description of the area, the roads that you go through, are given while you're in the story, and then also the gist that you get of the characters without necessarily knowing everything about them as you go through the book. So I thoroughly enjoyed the reading experience. I took my time with it. I took more time with it than I intended to, but every time that I sat down with it, it was like I wanted more. And I would like
Mm.
more. That is, I'll say that now. I could have dealt with more.
I
This
thought
could have
she was
been
pretty
longer.
thorough. I mean,
This could
I
have been
thought she
longer.
was pretty
We'll get
thorough.
into that. We'll get into that
Yeah,
later. But this could have been longer and I would not have been upset.
yeah, it could have been longer. This is my first Patri, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the way she does, like how she uses the fact that this is this town and how she connects these characters together, which we're being introduced to these connections and having to formulate our ideas on the different people. And I don't know, I was kind of getting a little bit of Daphne du Maurier vibes when I was reading this, because there's some things about this writing that reminds me of Daphne du Maurier's writing. If you guys have read Daphne du Maurier, Rebecca, and My Cousin Rachel, there's a little sense of mystery about the storyline, and she does this kind of thing, Petrie, where she uses the weather to kind of match what the person the character is going through. And she does it really well because it kind of goes to like a crescendo, and it's just really, really done well. I just enjoyed it so much because it just goes to show you what you can do with a novel that's less than 300 pages. Like,
Mm.
you don't have to have like a 500-page book to say so many things, and she says a lot of things. Goes through a lot of different themes. I thoroughly enjoyed it. All right, Michael.
I enjoyed it too. This is my second Petri. I read The Street years ago. I love this novel. It's amazing. It was incredible. I read this because Native Son by Richard Wright is compared to this because this is the
Mm.
female version.
Okay.
But it's its own thing. I love this. And this was just as great. Now, is it as great as this? I don't think so. But I had a good time. I really, really enjoyed it. Her writing is very similar to On the Street. You can tell it's a little bit different, but I really enjoyed it. I love the crazy characters. I always love messy characters. Those are my favorite. I
Mm-hmm.
love a messy
Yeah.
character. I just want you to be as awful as you are, and do
I like
it.
that you didn't even say not even as awful as possible. Just be as awful as you are. Be your
Yeah,
authentic, awful self.
unapologetically awful. Okay, unapologetically awful.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed it. I love messy characters, and this just if a lot of my notes on here was just basically me saying, oh girl, like it's just like, oh come on, like, oh my god, like the way. I also like how basically the second half of this is just completely different. I was like, oh my, what, this is a murder mystery almost now, like what are we doing? I was like, this is really really good. I really liked it. I had a good time reading it, and it was short.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like this one. Is long. This is long.
Well, the Narrow is even longer.
I want to read
that. Even longer than the Street.
I have the Narrows. I feel like they're the same size.
No, the Narrow is way
and the Street. The Narrows in the Street. I mean,
oh no, it's longer.
Okay,
because I remember I was like, wait, are we reading Country Place or the Narrows? And when I was like, wait, the Narrows, I was like, oh no, that
ain't it.
This ain't it.
That ain't it.
We ain't doing it. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really I liked it.
Okay, so let's talk about the characters.
Oh God.
Okay, so let's just get to it. Let's just start talking about Glory.
Fuck her. I'm sorry.
Glory was giving me she was giving me the vibes of that character in East of Eden, Kathy.
I have not read East of Eden.
Those two could be friends. Kathy and Glory, they could get down and be best friends. That's all I can say.
Okay, first of all, I didn't pay attention because there's a discussion going on in the chat. Someone said that the location of the story lets you know that the people are white, and the response was, there are Black people in Connecticut. I know Black people in Connecticut. Like, I know Black people who live here who are from Connecticut, like whole family in Connecticut. So it did not click for me until Glory actually comes into the picture. And right, well, a lot of there are Black people in those towns as well. But anyway, it didn't click for me until Glory comes into the picture, and Johnny talks about her hair. And that's when it clicked. I was like, oh, they're white. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, that was very interesting to me, but also that how like stuck on herself Glory was. I feel like she and her mom were both selfish in the same way. Like, why the whole why not me? Why aren't you thinking about me? No one does anything for me, you know. Yeah, Amalola. And that's why I'm like, we're not erasing the Black folk who live in Connecticut. So Black people live in Connecticut, and Connecticut is small, so it's full of small towns, and that's that. But yeah, they could have both kicked rocks, and they both did. Like, they deserved each other. She had the child that was her. Just ill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The revelation when you realize. Yeah, the revelation when you come to realize this connection with Weasel. I said, this.
Yeah.
I expected Weasel to be the one who got. I really thought that Weasel was going to say, because Johnny never came off to me as necessarily being stable.
Yeah.
Because he just got back from the war. And so I expected Weasel to say something to Johnny after seeing Ed and Glory up on Obit's peak or whatever. I was like, damn, it's called Obituary Peak. It's not Obituary, but that's what my brain took Obit. So I expected Weasel to say something to Johnny about that, and then Johnny was just gonna like shoop, 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 like knock him off, not because he's in the middle of all of the drama. He's somehow in the middle of all of the drama.
Yeah, but the thing is, he already let the cat out of the bag when he picked him up at the very beginning. So I feel like he
And
said,
I didn't
"Look,
think
I'm gonna
anything
just let
about
a
it.
little bit out, and I'm just gonna let it go." And that's pretty much what he did, because that right there was enough to get him, you know, on the
He
track.
Yeah, and he likes poking. Weasel likes poking. He likes poking the bear, but then like hiding his hand. The only one he did
Yeah,
not hide his hand with was Petey.
yeah,
Because he just gave him the direct letter, the letter directly.
yeah. Mm. I
He
like what
weasels
Amalolo
his
said.
way
He
into
weasels
all
his way in all
situations. Yep.
situations.
Yep.
That's
I
that's
what
definitely
I
good.
really enjoyed is that as like the story progression goes the is how the characters develop or like
Mm-hmm.
how we're introduced to the characters. I really like
Mm,
that too because then I was like,
yeah.
oh, because at first I was like, oh, Glory's, she. I don't think she's doing anything, and then afterwards I was like, oh, never mind it. I said, no, she just scared because he just came back from war, and I was like, oh no,
No.
this
Mm-mm.
no,
No, she ain't scared.
Mm-mm. She ain't
no.
scared. Her only fear was that, or the only reason why she was upset is because he came back from war before she got to fuck Ed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That's the only reason why. Like he messed up. He messed her game up.
Yeah.
And and it's just ew,
It's so
Yeah.
messy.
ew,
It was
It's
ew.
pretty.
just messy.
It was very messy. And then the fact that Ed had slept with her and her mama.
I won't go. See, I wasn't ready to go there just yet. I was not. I wasn't
I
ready to
mean,
go there
I
just
was
yet.
like, say what?
That 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 and that's what I wanted. Okay, so we're here. That's why I wanted the story to be longer. I needed Lil to find out. No, because Lil knows. Lil now like has the suspicion as we get to the end of the book. She has the suspicion that Glory and Ed have slept together, and she thinks nothing of it. And so I'm like, one of them has to be like, why do you have to take everything that's mine, or something like that? Why can't I have anything for myself? Why did you have to have something that I
Yeah.
wanted for myself? I need to know what the hell Mearns says and does with his relationship with Lil now that he knows that Lil and Ed were a
Mm.
thing. I needed to
Yeah.
know what the
Well, I mean,
ramifications of
I
that
think
was.
everything was said when they read the will out, and Mern had gotten all the stuff, and she was going off, and he just slapped one over her head and said, "Shut up." I was like, "Okay, Mel."
Oh my gosh. And
I was
the
like, "Think
one
about."
thing that I did not, I mean, there is no, he could. Amalola asked, do you think he will save face? He could, but
Yeah, he probably will
what
do.
would be the point? Like what at that point in time, everybody, by the time Johnny leaves, most people
Everybody's
know
gonna know.
that Glory has
Yeah,
taken up with Ed, and then everybody knows that Ed is a hoe. Well, was a hoe.
yeah,
He did
Well, he
now.
did. Yeah.
But so it's like the alternative would be how sweet of Mern's Granby to take it to stay with Lil after finding out about her indiscretion, and that's just like you pitied you.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
people pitying you. So what is saving face in that situation? Because Weasel, once he's given the note to Mearns, he's relieved himself of the obligation to need to be quiet. You've told the most offended, the party that would be the most offended. So why you need to be quiet?
Yeah, I mean, in fact that that she starts spreading the rumor as soon as she gets back that Johnny has been beating her. It's just like,
Mm.
girl, really? Oh yeah, maybe because crazy he's back from the
Because
war and
nobody has seen you get into Ed's car. You had him
yeah,
dropping you off at your mother-in-law's house.
yeah.
Where's she gonna go live? That's the other question, because Johnny has gone to New York. They, even if they're still married, ain't nothing happened. Like, where's she gonna live? She don't need to. She ain't gonna be staying at the mom and daddy house.
Yeah,
What
well,
happened to the
I
house that they
feel like,
supposedly had together that they were renting out?
yeah, it was
I have
very
so many
awkward.
questions. That's why I
Yeah,
wanted it to be. I have so many questions.
but I feel
Um,
like also Gloria was also having her moment of insanity, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to live in this house. It's going to be mine.
Mm.
I
I'm
don't know
gonna be
that
the
that was
one to convey the
insanity.
house."
I think that was entitlement. I don't know
Yeah,
that
of
that was
course.
insanity. I
Never
I
mind the
think
fact she has to kill him in it, but which
she
her mama was
lived with
trying to do.
Perkins for forever, y'all. She can't live with her boss forever.
Yeah,
Especially when her boss finds out that she was, well, he dead now, so maybe he won't find out. She can't live with her boss for forever.
no.
And as quiet, as small as that town is, the rumor mill would be running rampant with Weasel at the lead. With what that implies, that Johnny left her, she living with Perkins, like the rumor mill would go nuts. It would be great,
Yeah,
but
but the part where she had taken the medication out of the drawer, but left that giant box of chocolate next to her, and she was just eating the chocolate. And when she went for her medication, it wasn't there. And then when they kind of get her stabilized and everything, and then Leo comes back and she's got the medication in her pocket. I
and
was
nobody
like,
goes to,
It
okay,
goes.
so they call her out. Okay, so here are some things that annoy me about that. And I know that this is how diabetes really was treated by a lot of people who had it back then, and it's still treated like that by people who have it today. It's like, because I'm on insulin, I can still eat what I want to eat. I just take my
yeah, and I
insulin.
just take the medicine
Yeah, I
after
just
to
I just take
counteract
the
it.
shot and then everything's okay. And it annoyed me that at her age she had no self-control to sitting here eating this conspicuous, not inconspicuous, conspicuous, left out in the
Ridiculous.
open box of chocolates, when chocolates
And
just
not
don't
even
be
a
sitting
small
around.
box, a big box.
A big
Mm-hmm.
box. And you know that that's not something that just sits around in the house, and you just eating them one after the other and think nothing of the fact, when you're trying to run through your mental catalog of who could have left this, you think Lil and keep on eating. And
Well,
then
the
like,
doctor
oh,
figured
I've
it out
eaten a
right
little too
away.
much. Let
I
me get
think
ready
the
to
doctor
stab
figured it
myself.
out. The doctor and what's the other woman's name? Is it Neola?
Frasier, Neola.
No,
Uh-huh.
I think they
Neola.
Oh
both
yeah.
figured it out right away.
Oh,
They both, they
they
both
do. And
figured
no. The pharmacist figured it out right away. As soon, because the pharmacist was putting two and two together as soon as
it.
Neola came. That ride back to the house. Poor thing. As soon as Neola came in a frenzy asking for it, that's when he
Yeah.
starts actually putting the things together. And then the doctor, cause nobody takes the damn.
Well, they said, well, where's the medication? It's always in this drawer. That's what Neola says. It's always in this drawer. She opens the drawer. Oh, it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And well, the
And it was
drawer's on the floor. And so nobody goes to her pocket, to her bulging pocket, and takes it
yeah,
out. But they do.
yeah.
But the doctor does say, I know when an attempted murder goes awry. I'm like, God damn it, y'all leaving
Mhm.
her to
Yeah,
think maybe they think I tried to kill her. Tell her hind parts flat out. We
yeah.
know what you did.
Maybe they just wanted to catch her
Yeah,
like in the
a
gotcha
murder that
moment.
doesn't quite come off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
I'm like,
highlighted
tell
that
her what the
too.
hell she did.
Yeah.
Stop being was stop being, oh, what's the word? I can't word today. This was the wrong day to have a live. Stop. What is the word when you like obtuse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm.
Stop talking around it. Just call a thing a thing. I also, somebody said in the chat earlier that they liked Frasier as the narrator.
Okay, yeah.
I was expecting him to be an unreliable narrator simply because the story started with I don't like women. And knowing that, I'm sitting like knowing, like when you start with him saying I don't like women, and then you start with a telling of a relationship between Johnny and Glory. I expected Glory to be portrayed as, or seen by the pharmacist as like this horrible person, not necessarily actually getting Glory as she was, which she was a fucking horrible person, just like her mama. So I kind of expected it to be like an unreliable narrator situation, but then it was like, okay, you are a very reliable narrator. You are almost too reliable. How you know that lady put that note in her safe?
Yeah, I feel like he was very reliable.
Yeah. That
like women.
flipped it. That flipped it for me because I did not expect him to be.
It was a super red flag. Even on the second paragraph, he says, "I'm medium bald." Okay, you either have hair or you don't. Like, what's up with that? Like,
yeah.
I said he talking about he was medium tall, medium fat, medium old, and medium bald.
It's like what is the medium? What is the medium? Call a thing a thing.
I said, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I think everybody who came, I think the only people, Alicia said Doc liked Mrs. Granby though. I think the only people who did not like Mrs. Granby were Lil and Glory.
Yeah, of course.
I think those were the only two people who really did not like her.
Yeah.
With all the women. They're in the chat, they're saying that obviously he didn't like all the women because once you find out what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also we don't get a lot of, outside of the Weasel and Ed. Those are the two, and even Weasel's character isn't really called into question. He is what his nickname portrays him to be. He's exactly who you expect him to be.
With a girl from the hospital and got her pregnant. She was only 15. I was just like, oh, that was awful.
Yeah.
And he got away with it.
And he got away with it. And the only person who knows is the pharmacist.
The pharmacist. I mean,
oh my gosh. I totally in the whole reading, it's, you know how you get to a part of the book and there's like one bit of information that part's so good it just knocks that on out of your brain. The knocking of a child got totally knocked out of my brain by the reading of the will situation.
That was totally nastiness. That whole thing
was that was disgusting.
And the young girl, I can't remember her name was Rosie, I think it was.
Yeah, and the first thing he did was to go, and they had condoms back in the day, by the way. Yeah. Like condoms existed. You just raw dogging it up in somebody's child.
After World War II. So yeah, they had condoms.
Yeah. And so you just raw dogging it up in somebody's child and don't think that there were going to be ramifications. But then the first thing that you do is run to the pharmacist to ask for something to abort the baby. Sir, that's not how this works. And that's what the pharmacist basically has to tell him. That's not how this works.
Not how it works. And then she was like, the way she wrote that whole scene was the little girl getting a milkshake and the way she was slurping through the straw, and child, that was my nerves was bad all the way through because I was like, this is too much.
Make it to
Too
just make it's
much.
what I imagined was like if you've ever heard a hamster drink water from those loud dispensers where you have to hit the ball they have to hit the ball in the water dispenser with their tongue to make it move. As they get old, they can clink. Like, and it's like that annoying. uh yes, saying he
Yeah, I
was
told her it was
Superman. The
Superman.
whole
Oh my
mental
God. I
he
was just like,
knowing that child was slow.
that was just not right. That was not right.
knowing
None of that was right.
knowing it's like how do you not even how he picked the one who would say nothing and would just be happy for the attention.
Yeah.
And then because
And
she kept saying
every time
Superman,
people
nobody
walked
was
into
questioning
their
it.
shop,
Yeah.
he was over and pretended like he wasn't with her.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody really knew that they were ever together except for the pharmacist.
And
Yeah,
yet
that's why he targeted her.
he
He's the
managed to
target.
carry on that affair more carefully than Ed did his trips. And granted, the trips the rides home that he gave to Glory were I'm about to call her Gloria to Glory were innocent until Johnny came back. Johnny came back and she was
Exactly.
like, I need my bones jumped by you. So
Yeah.
imagine coming back from the water. Only thing you can think about is getting back to your wife. And you get home and she
I know.
says, I can't
That's
stand to
funny.
have you touch me. Well, bitch,
Mm.
get out then. Like,
Yeah, but I think Ed is one of these people that is like he's entitled in the fact that he has probably banged half the freaking
mm-hmm.
town and even the town next door probably. And everybody knows it.
Everybody,
That's the thing. Everybody
everybody
knows
knows
it.
it,
It's
and
not a
he
secret.
knows everybody knows it,
Yeah,
and he don't
and
care.
it's good for his ego. It's good for his ego.
Yeah, because if I like his wife has tuberculosis,
Yeah,
I'm
she's in
assuming.
some hospital and she's in
Yeah,
a semi I don't know, like she's not in a or anything, but like she's never getting better.
yeah,
She's
like
not getting worse and
she's
she's not getting
not she
better.
yeah, she's not
She's
in a
just
sanatorium.
maintained.
She's in a hospital specifically for people who have tuberculosis, and she's just been living there for years because it's not
Yeah.
improving.
No, not anything.
So I
So
guess it's
he's
like a and I kind of want to do some more. I should have done some more research on that as opposed to looking up my
Oh,
question about her writing
CN,
white characters.
CNJL1.
Mm-hmm.
She said
no.
they mentioned, well, Gloria doesn't owe Johnny her body, which is yes, that's true. I think it's more of like the connection when they get home.
Right.
Like it's more of the
I'm not saying that
connection.
she owes him her body. I'm saying imagine being away in at a war and the
For
only
four
thing you
years.
can think of
4 years.
is getting yeah for years and the only thing you can think of the thing that brings you comfort while you are away is getting to see and spend time with your wife and your
Yeah.
wife you get home and you go to hug your wife and she says that she can't stand for you to touch her.
Yeah.
You ain't got to the fucking yet, you just hugged her.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she was wrong for that. She was wrong for that. But how about the
Thanks, I'm a little
end
okay.
of Mrs. Granby and Ed tumbling down those stairs? What a surprise that was.
Mm.
I was
I
not ready.
was
I was like, wait, what?
I had to read that back too. I was like, wait, what are you?
I read it twice because I was like,
And you know what? The weasel was just standing there watching it happen.
what you gonna do? Like what you gonna do? You trying to
The
help
weasel
her.
was like, I
She
ain't
done
trying to hold
flung
none of
both
these
of y'all
bitches
all
back.
so hard that you're both struggling
Look,
to recover. You're
he
the
wasn't
only
trying to
one
hold
well
none of
enough
them
to
bitches
recover.
back.
And by the time you recover, you watching her tumble down the damn steps. What you gonna do?
He just said, you know what? I'ma just stay here, hold on to this thing and see what's gonna happen. I ain't tumbling nowhere.
Like she was all once she threw them off, she was on her way down. There was nothing.
Absolutely.
I really like in black. And I Omalola in my head, I just saw like a black tumbleweed, just
Black
a
cape.
black big
No,
ass
it's
tumbleweed
black
just
cape.
going down.
Black cape. That's what you have to imagine. You can see the cape, and you can see like, the
Just
arms and legs just
billowing around.
tumbling. Yeah, a hot mess. A whole hot
And
mess.
like the ability that she had, number one, as fragile as she was at that point, to throw them off with such force and not even have, because her mind is going,
Yeah.
and it's like she realizes that you still need help down the steps. Like you can't just walk down the steps, fling him off of you, or be like, get off of me after you get down these damn steps.
Yeah. No, she doing it all at the same time.
At the top of the steps.
Yep. At the top.
The mention of like I've wrote it on here where it says, "Wonder why death always comes in threes." And then
Yeah.
that conversation that they have afterward, I was like,
And they
"Oh,
say
who
that
is the
Johnny
third
is
person
the
that
third death.
died?"
And the thing about Johnny, that was a good.
Yeah,
I
he's the
like.
third death.
Yeah, I like that because they knew he
Gone.
wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
Like dead to the
Poor
town.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Mm.
And being that, I said before we got started, I feel like the town was the more important character in the story than like the people. Like the people, yes, are important, but it's the dynamics of these relationships within the town of Lenox. Like we start at the train station and we somewhat end at the train station with, Johnny's death to the town. But yeah, I like that. Johnny idolized Glory too much. Absolutely. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He was like that little
But
kid that
also
has
keep
their
in
first
mind, he
love.
was very young. He was
Mm-hmm.
very young when they got married. And then he quickly went
He's
off to
still in
war.
his 20s.
Yeah. And going to war is kind of what makes him a man, because
Yeah.
4 years has gone
Yeah.
by.
And
So
so
it
he
kind of
has
means
this.
that he has these ideas about his wife. I mean, he's
Yeah.
not imagining while he's at war what could the changes that could be happening. I don't think any man that goes off to war is
I
thinking
don't think
about
so
the
either.
changes that can be happening while they're away. I mean, so when he comes back, those are not the changes he's expecting. He's just not expecting his wife to be in love with another man. That
Right.
wasn't part of the plan. I totally get it. I felt for Johnny actually, because he was like in
Yeah,
his own
he
town.
came back with a lot of hope. He came, as far as his relationship goes. And I'm glad, as the reader, I'm glad that he went to New York. I'm glad that he did not like stay. I'm
Yeah,
glad that
he
he
decided
left
to go
the
to New York.
town with the
Yeah.
direction. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like Glory also didn't know that he had interest in art. We get that from the
Yeah.
pharmacist too, that he used to do a lot of drawing and stuff even when
Yeah.
he was growing up. Glory had no idea that he even had an interest in art when he brings that up. And I'm like, what do you know about your husband, ma'am?
That and the fact that he was a big reader. He always had his nose in
Yeah.
a book, they said at the end. You
Yeah.
don't really know his personality because he was just always reading all the time.
The mention, I said, I think being in a small town makes you think people are better than they are. Like Glory said, NYC should be a nobody.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
she needed the attention that she
Yeah.
got. And she made that very clear. She did not
That's it.
want to leave where she worked because
Yeah.
she got attention. She was admired by the people who came there. They stood around and they talked to her, and she got to hold like her own kind of court. While she was working. And if she left, then she would have to establish herself, as opposed to having people who were happy to see her anyway. No, yeah, she would have been a nobody. But also, did you turn your camera around? Also, the whole I'm gonna go live with my mama in somebody else's house. Like, what?
Like I said, a lot of these notes on here, I just was like, oh, come on. Like, oh, like it's just messy people.
When you said, "Oh, girl,"
Oh,
that
girl.
just took me out.
Oh, girl. Like,
There's one thing I like
Yes,
though.
she was annoyed by his letters because I feel like that's time that she had to take away to actually focus on him. Gloria and Lil were people who wanted all of the attention.
Yeah.
They wanted and they needed more
But
attention.
it's not even just attention. It's also the idea that they want people to think that they're the ones that have all the control, that they're the
Mm-hmm.
ones who are the ones who make all the decisions. Like I saw how quickly when Leo heard that it was um the gardener, the maid, and the cook were getting the house.
Mm-hmm.
She quickly they pulled out the N word. They can't live here. Da 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 da. I was like, okay,
Yet
Leo,
your
there's a
husband, who
real
is
class
the
in
direct
there.
descendant, doesn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's there. I mean, there. The book is really has a class thing going on in it too,
Yeah.
along with
because you
a
also
race
notice
side. Yeah,
that the help don't really have a name. Like they gave them certain names, like the protege, the
yeah,
cook.
yeah.
Was it the protege or the Portuguese?
Oh, I thought
The
I read it as
Portuguese.
Portuguese, like
No, I read it as
like
Portuguese.
Portuguese.
It's written
I
Portuguese.
think in my mind I was thinking it like protege, but it is spelled
It's the
Portuguese.
Portuguese
Yeah, I
after
like he was
you,
Portuguese.
you had Portuguese, you had the cook, and then you had Neola.
And then you had Neola, and Neola's the only one who actually had a name, and she
Yeah,
was what would have been um the head servant in the house because
yeah,
she had the direct responsibility of taking care of Miss Granby.
yeah.
That's when the clue I was like, oh wait, these people are white.
Yeah. Yeah, I have read that in some of the looking up of things that I did after I finished this book, that class is something that is
Yeah,
is
she talks about it all the
hit
time.
on a lot. That's a major point
Mhm.
for
Major
Ann
point.
Petrie in her writing, and that it's apparent in the street. Yeah,
Oh, it's
Yeah.
oh, that's
yeah,
like the theme of that one.
yeah.
Mm.
So, and then also the relationship between. I love how they like all basically ice Lil out. There's all the servants just iced her.
Yeah, yeah. They just don't listen to what she says. They just do whatever they want to do, and she usually bitches about it. But there's not much as she can do because she's not really the one who is the lady of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Which she was not happy with. With the way that was the way that was set up.
She wasn't happy with any of it. And I'm like, you put yourself in this situation.
Exactly.
You created the entire situation to make this man, I don't want to say force, to make this man think you were the one to marry someone who was postmenopausal, couldn't have no kids. Also,
Mhm.
his mom had a hand in that as well, because she admitted
Yeah.
to her hand in that.
Yeah.
But you presented yourself in a way to make this man want you, and then you moved into like the situations are kind of different because Glory moved into Johnny's parents' house
Yeah.
after Johnny goes to war. They had their own house.
Yeah.
Lil and Murns didn't have their own house.
Mm.
So you married him knowing that this is where you were going to live, knowing that you ain't like them damn cats and they was gonna
Yeah,
be
but
up in your room.
she was thinking her mother-in-law's gonna die and she gonna get the whole thing.
She
Right.
wasn't thinking she was gonna die. She was praying for her
Yeah.
death. And
She's like,
still,
oh yeah,
why
this is
would
gonna
you
be all
think
mine.
if your husband's mother dies, why would you think that you are going to get the house? Like, ma'am.
The scene where they're at the cabin, and then she tries to get herself out of this as soon as Johnny
Yeah, she
burst up
lied.
in there,
Yeah.
and I said again, I said, "Oh, girl," she's talking about I
We
uh,
I
uh,
was he was I was trying what did she say? I was trying to get him some tea. I was helping him.
I was wet. I
Ma'am.
said,
He
"Oh,
choked me.
girl."
I've got bruises all over my body, and she was doing
And
the
his
most.
Johnny's this is what I the whole how Johnny doggedly pursued getting to that cabin
That scene is great.
during the storm.
That's a
That
great
is
scene.
why I expected Johnny to be that Johnny was going to take Weasel out. That's the instability, because his persistent pursuit of getting to that damn cabin when the whole island is falling apart, or the whole
Yeah.
town is falling apart around him because of the storm. He said, I am going to get there. And then you got there and you found exactly what you were looking for because
Yeah.
it was there.
Yeah.
And now you got to take your wet ass home.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a perfect scene because the weather really matches his
Mm.
anger.
Yeah.
And as
Yeah.
he's going, I mean, he's got only this little flashlight and he's going up through the mud and everything. And he falls, then he finally realizes, oh, I'm in front of the house. It's like, because it's all black. And then he looks through the window and he sees his wife in the nightshirt with nothing else on and sitting on Ed's lap, and
Kissing
Ed
this man old enough to be her
is all
granddaddy.
over his
Or
wife,
maybe old enough to be her daddy.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And so then he decides to go through the door, and it's funny how when he goes to the door, her reaction is, "Oh, he just took me home." I was like,
He was gonna
what?
take me home, and then bitch, y'all left at 2.
I just was like, I was like, Michael, girl, what? What are you saying?
That's I had.
And this man walked around like there was so much. I feel like when Johnny came home, he was not coming he wasn't coming home to stay, because he was set apart the entire time that he was home. Like, he spent a whole day just walking around in the rain. Ain't nobody say he went to the store. I don't even remember what he did at the store.
But
My
I feel
brain.
like that's her matching the weather to his mental
Yeah,
state.
he was
Because
completely
at the
isolated.
beginning, if you remember, it was just a normal rainy day. And that normal rainy day becomes this major storm
Storm.
like
Yeah,
a day later.
yeah.
So I think she does a really see that that's a little bit of like that in there's a little bit like that with Du Maurier. This
Yeah.
kind of thing with the weather
And
and all that.
Alicia, you are right, because she sat there, like, the way that it's that Johnny seeing her is described to us, where she's sitting on like the chair on the edge of the bed, and she's like,
Yeah.
this is like her enjoyment of
I'm
watching.
telling you,
I didn't expect Ed to be able to go toe for toe. Let's say that. I didn't expect him to be able
Kathy
to go
from
toe to
East of
toe with that.
Eden can be friends with Glory, honey. Because that's like two characters. They got the same little sick mind going on. Oh yeah, those two are just they could be two peas in a pod.
Yep, as if she was watching a movie. And then when she realized that the fight, like, that it was done,
Mm-hmm.
she had to figure out how to fix her face.
Mm-hmm.
And she couldn't do it. She couldn't do it fast enough. So she had to preoccupy herself to get which was probably a nitrous pill, to get the pill to Ed. And she still goes, this is
Mm. But I think the worst was Johnny having to make his way back to the car. Ugh.
right.
That was
Right.
debilitating. That was horrible to read.
And I was thinking that all of the trees that you done climbed over for you to get back to that car, and there's a tree sitting on your car. What you gonna do? Walk home? So
Mm.
I was kind of surprised and also a little happy when he got back to the car and it was still there
Yeah, but I
without
think
being crushed
even
by a
doesn't
tree.
even say, he said, "Oh yeah, walking in the rain isn't so bad. This car is protecting me from the elements. I could just sleep here." Mm, because he couldn't even start his car in the when he got there.
Yeah.
It was all waterlogged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many. Like I highlighted some of the parts that I thought were really funny. Like there's one that says on page 204, "I don't want him staring at these bruises I painted on my neck." And then I wrote on here, "Oh girl, like
Right,
what are
like
you? Like come
you
on!" And
show
then right here,
you take off the actual bruises that you
yeah,
had, you covered up.
she
Yeah.
said,
And
she said,
then the ones that you created, you look at my neck.
"I
Like,
know."
Yeah. It
On
was.
page 193, she said, "Yes, I slept with Ed, and I'll do it again." And then there was right here on page 195. He said he'd have the he'd had the mother cold like ice, and now he had a daughter, a born tramp, if
Yeah.
there was ever
Yeah.
one.
yo.
Yeah.
Bars.
Yeah. Completely.
I said, huh? Oh girl, like,
Totally.
oh that was Ed. Oh no, that was Fraser talking about Ed. That is, I said,
Yep.
this is crazy. This was crazy. I said,
And then to liken when he's tumbling down the steps and his heart just like gives out. This is like sleeping with glory.
Yeah. I know.
Man.
That was like. I was like, what?
Like,
maybe that's why her
excuse
name. Maybe that's why her name was Glory.
Yeah.
me?
Maybe.
Get out.
Uh, I also put on here like there was like a Noah's Ark allegory. I thought on page 181. Once across the bridge, he found that he was enjoying the storm. I hope to Christ it wipes out the town of Lennox, leaving not a single building standing in its foundation. Yada 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 yada. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because it
Oh.
says he became aware of the rattling of the car. The wind must have blown loose every bolt, every nut. The sound
Mm-hmm.
suggested that even the tires and the chassis were being wrenched apart.
And another thing that's good is on page 247.
I'm
Uh,
jealous. Hold on. Let me say that I am jealous that Michael's Kindle actually has page numbers that are right with the book.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because mine does not, and I have an older Kindle, but also, ugh.
I think it's the part. I think this is the weasel that says this.
What page?
On 247,
Oh, 47. I don't know
he
how I ended up
says,
on 24.
Fanny. No, funny how Glory and Lil are
Are
so much
so much
alike.
alike, even
Even
having the
having the
same
same
piece
piece
of.
of, yeah. So he was in. Yeah, I mean, the weasel was just like he ain't fronting. He know everything.
And that's like I have a green little. I really thought the weasel was the one who was gonna get got. I said Weasel's gonna be the one to die. That's what I have on page 103. I really thought he was gonna be the one to get got.
But then above it says the weasel said, "I never did understand that business about Johnny beating the hell out of her. The way he looked when he left town this morning, it must have been the other way around."
Yep. He didn't believe he didn't give glory to
No,
what
because
do I
he
have? I
knew
have a what the fuck
he
on
was a
here.
player. Like he was not like buying none of it. He wasn't buying none of it.
I have a what the fuck on page 159 where Miss Granby does that little creepy voice and freaks out Lil. It is said that the evil spirits that been in the region doubt I can't doubt Moosh when they when they hear the bells ringing. And that scared the pants off of Lil. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is hilarious. Cause she knew what she was doing. She just playing and antagonizing this woman, what she deserved.
Yeah, it's the one in the middle where she looked around the room. It was filled with a draft. so strong that the draperies moved at the windows,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
spilling in towards the room, and the cats kept emerging with the brooding darkness of the. What did you guys think about the animals in this story? Because in the beginning, the first animal we see is Banana, which is the cat,
Yeah. The pharmacist
the
cat.
pharmacist cat, and then later on we have, is it two or three cats that are in
Miss Granby's
um
house.
yeah, Miss Granby's house, and I can't remember what they're called. There was
The
one
only
they,
I think the only people who like the cats are the people who own the cats.
yeah, pretty
The
much.
pharmacist is that's the only woman that he like
Yeah, yeah,
is
pretty
is
much.
is is, is his cat. And the only people who like the cat, even the servants really don't do anything
No,
for the
the only
cats.
thing they do is make sure that all the doors are open so the cats can go into any room that
Right.
they want.
Right. And
Yeah.
that would have been creepy to me too, to have the cats having cats. Number one, like I'm not a cat person. I
I'm not
like
a cat
cats when
person
they,
either.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, the
when they
word.
want to do like the whole get petted and all of that, that's great. But the way
Yeah.
cats will stalk you
But
and
the scene
freaks me out.
where the, I think it's what's her name? Neola knocks on Lil's door and says, "You
The
have
cat
to
want to
leave
get
this
in.
door open because I can't remember what the name of the cat is, wants to come in." And when she opens the door, the cat like jumps on the bed and is, I mean, literally taunting her. The
It's
cat.
like I told you I was gonna get in here,
Look,
bitch.
man, that cat was like not getting off that bed. No way, no
He said,
how.
"This is my bed. This is my room. You are a guest in my house."
Yeah, that
And
was, I
the
thought that was pretty
way
interesting.
that it was understood that the cats needed to be taken, like the cats had more consideration given to them by the humans than Lil did in that house. And she
Yeah.
wanted to stay there. Like, ma'am, you had a
Yeah,
house
and
before you
well, the
got here.
cats
Go
seem to
back
have
to it.
more the lay of the land of the house than even Neil did.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and what did you guys think about the title, Country Place? Do you think that was the right title?
Hmm.
I don't
It's a
know.
country place.
It
It's
is
a
it is
place.
a country place, but you don't necessarily, it doesn't, it feels more like small town than country
Hmm.
place, because I don't necessarily feel like it's the country. And maybe because maybe that's my brain, because for me, the country is the South. Like the
Hmm.
Yeah, but
country is where my
I felt
family
like
is
it
from.
felt like country to me.
Hmm.
It felt like country to me
Okay.
the way she describes it. It's mostly because you still have reference. They have references to the way it used to be. When they start talking about like the cars and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
it just doesn't feel like it's a place that is has a high habitation of people, and everything that is naturistic around it is more described than anything else. Like you have all these
Yeah.
description of
Yeah.
trees, and
And you can walk everywhere.
you can walk
You
everywhere.
can walk everywhere. Yeah, you're
So this
right.
is the reason why I felt like it felt like country place, and I feel like country place is a way of throwing the reader off. Because if you
Mm,
don't read what this is about, you don't really know what it's about. But country place gives us some kind of something docile and something more tamed, and because it is in the country. Like what could happen in the country? Same shit
a
that happened
whole
in the city.
bunch.
Same shit
A
that happened in the
whole
city.
bunch.
You know. So I think it's a really good it's a good title for that reason, because it is unassuming, I guess you could say,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
as we enter into the story, I mean, we're quickly. I think I felt like I was quickly pulled in when I started the story. I didn't have any trouble at all getting into. I felt completely pulled in. I wasn't sure what I was getting pulled into,
Hmm.
but I was
Same.
Yeah, I was
Same.
curious all of a sudden. I was like, wait, who are these people? No, wait, what? He coming back
Because
for more?
we start off, it really starts off just throwing you in. It starts off with such a good description of coming into the town. Like
Yeah,
we arrive in Lennox with Johnny when he gets off the train.
yeah.
We get
And
a
that
tour
was
of
a good way
Lennox
to
with
start the book.
Johnny while he's on his way home, while Weasel's taking him home
But
with
that's a
some of the
great way to
people
start
there
the
and
book
everything.
because
Yeah.
we're like Johnny. We're discovering everything like he is.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I felt like that was a great entry. I kind of felt the same vibes as he felt. Like, what's this? What's up with this cab driver?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want
And
you
I
talking to
cannot.
me. Just drive. Just
Could
drive.
anybody get a good picture in your brain of what the weasel looked like? Because I don't think I could, other than the fact that his teeth have got to be jacked up. Like I
Yeah,
gave like
I
a
thought jacked
a
up
pointed
teeth. I
mouth
thought
with messed up
nail
teeth.
pattern, nail pattern baldness, jacked up teeth,
Yeah.
skinny, scrawny.
Mhm.
Not normal looking. Like really, really skinny.
And I thought skinny scrawny until he picked up until he went to get Miss Granby that first time and he's helping her.
But skinny, scrawny men they can be just as strong.
But he's just the cat,
Look,
right? But
these men be having
as
power in
a
their arms and
driver,
stuff.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, yes, you're right.
Look,
But
they
also
could hold
he's
your ass
like,
down with one arm if they really had to. They could do that. So
true,
For
um,
me,
true.
since
yeah.
I live in
So
Georgia, every time they said Lennox, I always thought it was in Georgia because I was like, "That's in." There's a
See,
Lennox
there's
here
a
in
Linux
it
Georgia.
in
ain't just
Georgia.
me.
Okay.
It ain't just me.
I know. I
But
was
yeah,
just like,
I really did.
this
And then too, I had to remind myself that it was up north with
Mhm.
Mhm.
how close it was to the water. Um, and like just the scenery descriptions were absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, they were. They were. They
Absolutely
were done very,
beautiful.
very well. That's why I
Obits,
feel. That's
Obits,
why
what
I
is
feel
it?
like the
Obits
novel
Bluff
is
or
very
whatever. That's
thorough.
make out point from The Simpsons.
That's
That's
why I
make
feel like
out
this
point.
novel is thorough because
maybe
he
Steve
really
Buscemi.
does put a lot of different things in here to kind of make it an overall complete
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, I don't think it's not a thorough enough. I think it's a very well done short or shorter
Novel. Yeah.
novel.
Mm.
I want to know that's Patrick.
That's
Who's that?
Steve Buscemi.
Oh,
That's what
Buscemi.
someone.
Okay.
Oh, that's what you think the weasel looks like?
Oh, I wasn't looking at chat. Okay, I got you. I got you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I
I
can see
got
that.
you.
I can see that too.
Yeah, I can
Justice
see
with
that.
Steve Buscemi. Yes,
I can
justice
see
for.
that. Yeah, I can see that definitely.
I can see
I
that
can see
though.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at chat. I was like, wow, I thought you had pulled up a picture of Ann Petrie. I was like, no, that's a
That-
dude.
Well, you
no,
can still like him and still think
that's a white man.
he fits the
What's this
bill.
white man doing here?
Yeah. I forgot what I was saying.
I'm
I
We
forgot what
were
I was
talking
saying.
about the novel being full and
Oh yeah.
thorough.
I would just like to know what happened to Glory and Lil after. Like, I want to know after Lil
I don't
fainted,
care.
and after she did her little fake swoon, and then came to and sat down and just stewed for the rest of the
Well,
reading of the will.
for Leal, I feel like she has no option. She either leaves Mern or she shuts the fuck up and sits down next to
I
Mern
want,
and
and
does what he
she
says.
can't shut the fuck up. She
Yeah, she
showed
don't have
that
a
with her
choice
whole
then.
outburst. She can't shut up.
Look,
So
Mern had already slapped her ass once. And when he slapped her, she shut the hell up.
I don't want it to become an abusive relationship. Also, I
No,
was
but
like,
I feel like that was the first time Mearns ever actually got up
stood up.
and said, "Bitch, shut up."
because that is when the pharmacist who's narrating the story,
Mhm.
he says that's the first time he'd ever sounded like his dad.
Yeah. So I feel like she gonna shut the fuck up and stay next to Mern where the money is, cause she not gonna leave him. She a gold digger.
Is she
She's
not
not
gonna
gonna
live in
leave
that
him.
house either? She gonna have to move because I bet I would be very interested. I'm like, I have so many questions. Like, why would he stay in Lenox? He has a place in where he goes to work because he stays there. So he has a place there. So why would he stay in Lenox? He has his own.
He's probably not gonna stay. Probably not gonna stay in Linux. And I feel like Glory gonna be looking for the next person she can latch on to.
Is Perkins married?
Ooh, God, I hope
The
not.
grocer.
I
Is
hope
he
not. I hope
married?
she's not gonna go down that route. But
She
you know
ain't got
what?
but so many options. Ed
But you know
dead.
what? She could go
Johnny's
down that
gone.
route.
She got Weasel. Um
Did
and
Ann Petrie only wrote 4 novels?
Yeah, she only wrote
yeah,
4 novels.
yeah. And one
Well,
is a
one is a
collection
short
of
story
short stories,
collection.
right?
One is a short story
Mm.
collection, and the other ones are
Thank you,
novels.
Alba. Okay, so Perkins is married. Well,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
she's
so is
probably
she.
trying to
That
get
don't.
with
So I
him
guess
too.
that don't make a difference anyway. Maybe he has the morals. She sure as hell don't.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like her options for who the next person would be are limited.
Well, she'll probably leave town if she can't find anybody there and go somewhere else and find someone because she
Yeah,
clearly
that's it.
knows
Would
that.
which is what she didn't want to do. Like
Yeah, but
she was hard set on
now
not
she has no
leaving, and
choice.
that's when like I want to know what happens
She
because she was.
clearly knows that she's a good-looking woman and she can pull
Mm-hmm.
one. So I feel like if she has to leave town to pull one, she will do what she has to do to get with someone who's got money. I don't think
Yeah,
she really cares where that's going to be. So
yeah.
um let's see. Nicole said her short stories are nice. And Petrie's short stories because it's called Miss Muriel and Other Stories. I think was
Yeah.
the short
Yeah,
I was
story.
just asking
yeah,
because
she did.
I kind of want
She
to
did
read her
Lola.
whole.
She has a
Yes,
middle
she
grade.
did. The one that's on Harriet Tubman, I think, is like a. I want to
It's a
say it's like
middle
a middle
grade
grade
slash
novel
children's story.
or
Yeah.
young adult or middle grade novel.
Mm-hmm.
See, I would love to read all her stories since I'm already halfway there.
Yeah. And I have The Street and the Narrows. I do plan to read those. I
That's
plan to
very
read
good.
those before
That's
the
a
end
good
of the year.
point that
We'll see.
Nicole just made. The town will have to change. A Jewish lawyer moving in was a sign things starting to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Mm.
agree with
Yeah.
that. I agree with that.
And and that is something that happens, particularly during this time, with a lot of people relocating, a lot of people coming up north,
Yeah,
though that those changes happen. The change in demographic, change in the makeup of the town.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
definitely.
Because
Definitely.
you don't see a lot. We didn't see a lot either too about kids being in the town.
No, they
Mm.
don't really talk a lot about the kids
There
being.
wasn't much talk about kids at all.
So it could be possibly the town is aging.
Yeah.
It's a small town that's aging.
So
So
it would need
mhm,
people to move to it for it
it
to
would definitely need
continue.
young people.
Yeah, it would need people to move to it for it to continue to
And as
thrive
Nicole
or to
says, the death
survive.
of the richest family with no heirs.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
now that
all
you
So
of his
mention
assets.
there are no kids.
Yeah, there aren't. Yeah.
mhm.
Only the
which
15-year-old.
which I feel like that's
But
something that
she's
can
not a
happen.
resident of
She's
the
not even.
town. She lives in the
Yeah.
next.
Mm,
She's a ward of the state from the next
Mm.
town over.
over, yeah.
She doesn't live in the town.
Mm.
She's one of the group of girls who are wards of the state who come there to work at wherever that hotel. It's a hotel, right?
What an interesting point that there's no kids. Probably
Yeah.
because also when you think about it, since the story is getting told from
And why do they have two
Perkins.
churches? I just thought about that. Like there are two churches because there are two church bells that are ringing. And
Yeah.
they're like right across the street from each other.
Oh, you know what? One is probably black. The other one's
Yeah, and the
probably
other one's probably white.
white.
Good point.
That's probably why.
Good point. But Neola we don't get any other black folk but Neola and Cook. Like Portulaca is not black. He's Portuguese.
Yeah, but that's not out of the ordinary for the time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that's the period where all the immigrants were coming over and trying to make their life in the US.
Okay, maybe I only remember it being two bells that were ringing, like when the storm came. That there were the two bells that were ringing.
Okay, Nicole says she thought there was
CNJ says that they had three: Episcopal,
yeah,
Lutheran,
Episcopal,
and Catholic.
Lutheran, and Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
But I only remember that's why I said two, because I only remember the talk of those two bells ringing and then the tree falling in front of the park. Man, talk about luck. The tree falling in front of the parsonage as soon as the priest goes into the church or into the house, excuse me, parsonage.
The house, yeah. But there were a lot of falling trees at that point. Like, damn, y'all ain't got no more trees left.
And I'm like, y'all are still going around, and like the store is still open. Y'all still outside going to do things. These days, that type of storm hits, folks are shuttering shit up. They got bored.
The hairdresser was closed. Whatever.
Right,
the thing was closed,
and that was the only one.
And and then wasn't the place where she worked, wasn't that closed?
They closed it too. They closed it. Yeah. They closed early. Yeah. But I'm like, everybody's just moving around. Like, well, not everybody. The people that we are with.
Well, yeah, because even the guy, the gardener, decided to go to the greenhouse. I was like, to do what? In the greenhouse.
And the fact that it took two of you to open, and it took two of you to open the door.
The door opened and slammed him against the wall. Then he got slammed on the ground. Then he slinked literally like this to the greenhouse. Then he got to the greenhouse and it was pitch black.
Right. And I'm like,
what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
It's a house of glass, sir. I immediately saw, what's the movie? That they had the greenhouse and the things came down, the glass. Is that a Final Destination movie? Or is that Hand that Rocks the Cradle? There are two movies in my head right now. But it's something that happens and the little lever thing that you crank up just stops working, and the greenhouse top roofs crash down, and there's all this glass that falls on it. It falls and hits one of the characters. But I'm like, it's a greenhouse is a house of glass. It's a storm. Trees are falling. You think that glass gonna stay up?
I didn't get it. I didn't get that at all. I was like, what are you doing out here? And then all the way back to the house. And then he gets mad because she's locked the door.
That's the only way to keep the door closed.
She's knocking on the door. She's locked the door. She locked the door. And I'm like, this man is crazy. So then she unlocks the door, lets him in, and the door goes boom.
Blam all over
knocks
again.
Them both over. Boom. I was just like, this is crazy. I don't know what they're doing, but this is crazy.
A test of what? Alba says she thinks it was a test. A test of what? Please let me know.
Because when he left, the woman was like, "Where you going?"
Right.
Oh my God.
And I think for the only time that we get to actually hear the cook talk, I like that it was him being kind of catty with Neola, like, so when's the date?
Yeah,
I thought that was really cute.
I don't know, Alba. I'm not getting it.
Oh yeah, she was in.
I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with him going out to the greenhouse?
To the greenhouse.
She ain't in the greenhouse. She in the house.
And even if there
people
was
do crazy
with the greenhouse,
people do crazy things for love.
Especially when she didn't ask him to go out there. She's sitting there going, "Where you going?"
Like
People do crazy things for
what would
love.
you
Never
do
know.
for the greenhouse in a storm?
See on here.
What would you do?
I don't know. I don't get it because I was just
Whether
like, I
he
heard
loved
that
his
scene and I
flowers more.
thought,
Okay. Okay. Whether he loved his flowers
Okay.
more than
Yes.
Neola.
See.
Okay.
well, he went out to the greenhouse in the storm. I don't know. And then got mad at her because she locked the door. But if she
Because she
didn't lock
locked
the
the door.
door,
And I'm thinking that's probably the only way to make sure that the door stayed closed.
that's why she
Because,
locked the door.
yeah,
I don't get it.
the greenhouse was under attack.
Yes, it was.
The whole town was under attack.
It says on here on page
I'm so
173.
jealous of your Kindle.
Even if he could
What?
reach, if he 173, even if he could reach the greenhouse, what did he propose to do there? He had.
That part.
I did what men always do in the mid of violence. I went straight forward. My heart's love. Oh, that's after it was crushed, though. Oh yeah, here it is. See, did this mean then that he was far more concerned about his plants than about her?
That's what she would think. Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that. I still don't know why he out there in the greenhouse though.
He loved his plants.
Yeah, clearly more than her. Because then he got mad at her because she locked the damn door. And it's like,
You're right. Right. It worked out in the end, so that's all that matters.
yeah, it did
It
work
worked
out
out
in the end.
end, y'all. That's all that matters. I'm not gonna lie. Greenhouse
Well,
is
I
pretty
mean, she
cool.
wasn't
It's just
sure
hot in there.
if she was going to accept it because she was going for a walk trying to decide should I marry this man or not.
Mm.
You remember?
Because we don't get anything. We don't get anything of their relationship, and it actually reminded me a little bit of how we hear, or how we read how families are created in slave narratives, because we don't get a lot of their relationship.
No,
they
don't.
talk every day. They
probably
talk
don't
every day, and they admire each other.
Yeah.
We probably
don't get a lot of their
anything
relationships. You're correct.
from. We don't get anything from the help because since these are all essentially white people.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And
we would never get-
they are not the focus
No, they're
Yeah.
of any
teachers'
part of
since-
this.
And
Yeah.
since he's telling the story, he's white,
Right.
so he would
Yeah.
not even think
of them. Yeah.
what are they doing?
And of the classes that are given in this story, they are the bottom class.
Mhm.
That's correct.
Yeah. But yeah, so this it's like they talk to each other every day. It's obvious, like even self-centered Lil can tell when she passes by them that they have affection for each other because of how of how they look at each other when they talk. So
Yeah.
like that part is that much is obvious, but it's like they've never been on a date.
No.
They've never
The thing, for me,
Alba
I think
says,
it's always-
except that as
There's
always, the
a
black woman's
saves the
face.
day.
I think
You're right. You're right.
you're
Neola
correct.
let him back in the house. Neola is the one who walked by the house on her day off
and
saw
the
something amiss
handkerchief
with
in the
the
window.
shade in the window.
Mhm.
Because that was a whole big important thing, that the front of the house always looks the same.
Yeah.
And she noticed that something was amiss and went in to help Miss Granby. She drove that car to go pick up the pharmacist. I felt so bad for him on the way back to the house. And when he asked her after they got there, have you ever driven a car before? And she said no. Like I could feel physically when I read the part about his knees like going jelly. How weak in the knees he had to have felt after that realization.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Rosa makes a good point. She says also you don't get a lot about relationships in the 1940s.
Yeah.
It's all much more subtle.
Yeah.
Dating is a modern concept.
I think it's always interesting, especially during this time, for the authors, like Black authors writing white characters
Mhm.
in like a particular way, because I know Didi, you're reading A Different Drummer right now,
Yeah.
Yeah, we both
and that
are.
was
Yeah.
that
And I didn't
this
expect
this is amazing.
that when I started that either. I was
Oh
like,
no,
oh,
because
I had to go read the
the back
synopsis.
doesn't tell you at
Yeah.
No, it's
all. It
amazing.
does
This
not.
book.
Spoiler alert, I guess.
Amazing.
But
No, don't. I haven't finished it.
yeah, but I was like,
I
It's an
haven't-
amazing
that's
book.
always a fascinating. Like to me, I was like, oh, because then, yeah, once you figure out what happens at the end,
Yeah,
So
and I
the
because
thing is, this one is 1947.
mm,
The date, A Different Drummer is 1962.
Okay.
mm,
And then another one where you have
yeah,
like a
19.
black character writing, a black author writing white characters is Baldwin's
Giovanni's Room.
Giovanni's Room, but
That's what
also
I
Another
thought about.
Country.
Yep. That's
Mhm.
what I
Another
thought about
Country is
with reading both of these.
1950 something, I think. And I can't remember what the date is on the other one. So different. The time periods are kind of like in that 40s, 50s,
Range.
60s period. But I think
Yeah.
this idea of black writers writing white characters, that was a thing
Yeah.
more than people realize. It was a thing.
But it's also the subtleties of it. Like they don't tell it.
No,
I
they
think
No,
that's
don't.
the part that I
no,
was like, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
like
they
they
don't.
do not
And
say
she
it.
doesn't tell it in here. Like
Yeah.
it's the description. It's the for me it was Glory's hair. Like I
yeah,
don't it was Glory's hair and then it was something. Oh, and then it was the bruises on her neck.
yeah,
Then the next day. Those two things together,
yeah,
the actual bruises, not the one
yeah,
she
yeah.
drew
The actual,
on.
not the fake
The
one.
actual
Yeah.
those are the two things that solidified for me that these were white characters.
Mm-mm, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh no, I wasn't saying like it's a gimmick. I think it's just like a very
Yeah, she was
It's
a
something,
pharmacist.
it's something that was
yeah.
very popular. There are
Mm,
authors who write today who when they started out writing, they wrote white characters and they even wrote or they did not include that their characters were intended to be black and some of them in order to be published uh had to put on a facade
yeah,
with with their own identities to in order to get published.
yeah, I can see that.
Mm.
So I think I can't think of who the I want to say um fuck Virginia DeBerry and Donna Grant. Donna is that the two like trying to sleep in the bed you made the author of the authors of that book, one of them years ago, and this was a Facebook post from
Mm,
years ago,
mm,
has shared that there was a book that they had originally written um, that was published, and they wrote white characters,
mm,
and that's when I actually did some more deep diving into that.
mm. Yeah, I feel like this is just what she knew,
Hmm.
being that she is quite a almost white
Oh
passing
yeah, she
black
was
woman.
almost white passing, and for being like in real life, she was an educator, and she worked at like she also worked at her parents. She took up the family job. Like one of her parents, I think her dad was a pharmacist, and so that's what she initially went to school for.
Mm.
I'm excited to read her other works. Like I
Yeah, I
really want
am
to read
too.
Yeah, and when I
really like her.
finished this, I was like, oh, almost y'all, the way that this book almost flew out of my hand into my face. When I finished this, I was like, I really want to read The Street next, but I
The
need to finish A Different Drummer. I
the
really
new
want to read The
release
Street
then
next.
because when they re-released their her books into that really pretty like pink and then the yellow and the blue, I was
Mhm.
like,
And I don't have your edition of The
that's
Street.
pretty.
I have
Yeah, see
I
the
have
one
the
with
edition
I
with
the
the
have your
brown
edition,
heels.
pages.
Michael. I
Yeah,
It
have
has
the
the
yellow
picture of
one.
the heels.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I yeah, because that's the version I read. And then when they released these new versions, I was like, oh, that's
but my copy of the Narrows is like this. So
yeah.
you
I was
know
like,
what that
oh,
means.
that's
I
so
may end
pretty.
up buying that other copy of the Street just so
Same.
that they all match. Yeah.
Yeah, because even though I bought it on digital, I was like, okay, I want to get the physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Does anybody in the chat have any questions they want to propose?
Thank you all for being so
Yeah, you guys have been great.
participatory.
Giving some
Hello,
great.
there we go. It was like my mouse.
Did you have any idea for the next book while people are chatting?
Our next book is going to be a romance. Since it's going to be summer, our next read is in July, and I'm in the process of choosing that book. So I'll let you know when it's chosen.
The cover was
yes, Amalola.
Yes, really. It's going to be a romance. Really, really. Is that a good really or
I
bad
kind of
really?
see in my head, Amalola has leaned forward and it's like, really?
Really? And look at Alba. Romance?
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be a romance, people.
I'm excited.
Rosa said too, this was her first Anne Petrie book, but not her last.
Yes,
I was right.
You got me, Tati.
Yes, read The Street.
Yes, that's going to be my next one, and then I'm going to read The Narrows after that. I don't have the short story.
It was like the first book that sold 1 million by
by a Black author,
a Black woman author. Yeah. Go read it. It's great. And if you want a comparison, I would read Native Son by Richard Wright. They're not the same, but they get compared to.
They get compared a lot, and I've already read Native Son.
I can see how they would get compared.
Yes. Yes.
The lady of the comedian was that was not romance.
Who was the lady of the
Camille? You know why that wasn't romance? Because it doesn't have a happy ending. So it can't be a romance. Look, I'm just saying that's what people been telling me about a romance.
Yeah, that's what I've always thought. Because like then otherwise it would go into
I had the DL right on.
Oh yes. I was like, why does that sound
DL
so
gave me a
familiar?
rundown and she told me it's a romance because it's got a happy ending. I said,
so it wasn't. So that was not a romance.
That was not
I don't think mine is the Lady of Camille's. Mine is just Camille.
I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I loved it.
Yeah,
but it's not a romance.
But it's not a romance. Honey, pack your purse for Native Son because that takes you.
Oh yes.
Oh, that ain't no romance. That's a tragedy.
Oh no, like get ready, like
get your mind right.
No, like for real, like.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
I remember reading that.
Right.
I remember reading that for the first time, and I said, "Oh my God,
get your mind right."
Yeah, I am glad that I was not in the classes that read that when they were in high school. I read that as an adult, and as
I read it in college.
As a high school student, number one, I would have been irritated because I'm pretty sure that some of the things that I would have wanted to discuss in that book would not have been discussed in class, and that's a whole nother fucking conversation because we read Kafka's Metamorphosis and did nothing with it, and that pissed me off. But as a teenager reading that, that would have given me some kind of a
I mean, come on now. That's like like, I mean, I don't even know why you would want to read that with such young people.
That was like, I'm not joking. That was our 10th for a large portion of the curriculums. The districts in my city had that on their English curriculum for 10th or 11th grade English students. So you are between 15 and 17 reading Native Son.
Scared.
Yeah. It also makes.
I ain't gonna lie. I mean, scared.
Because also there's so much literature afterwards that you'll start to notice like the products of Native Son.
Well, you need
Like,
to come to Friday Reads Amalola, because that's what they apparently been saying on the Friday Reads that we've been
It's not
missing
the
while
first
my
time
ass
I've
been
heard
working.
someone say that, because when we discussed it once in the book club on Patreon, I remember
it was in the book club
Alicia
too.
had said it as well. She said, I said, how do you know it's a romance? She said, because it's not a romance because it doesn't have a happy ending. Romances is supposed to have happy endings. Said, all right. You know? So
can romance be a tragedy?
No, it's a tragedy if it's a
would that be a tragedy?
Yeah.
Oh, genres.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I get it.
Because like it's Romeo and Juliet.
I feel like just how the science fiction
that's what we're talking about. I'm a lot of the modern world.
Yeah. I feel like how sci-fi and fantasy has broadened. So that it's now like speculative fiction, and there are so many avenues, and I think the romance genre has broadened as well.
Absolutely.
Because I agree with Amalola that I think that there are some books that I've read that are romances that don't necessarily have a happy ending. Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's romance in the modern sense of a romance story. You know, has to have a happy ending. But it's true. I mean, you can have, like, if you think of things like Romeo and Juliet. I mean, it's romance.
That is called a tragedy, though. That is called a tragedy.
Yeah.
It is not.
It is technically a tragedy.
Called a romance.
Correct.
It is
You're correct. Yeah. So, but that's what I heard. I don't know. I'm not an expert, so I'm gonna find something.
Yeah. And whatever she finds, it's gonna be good and it's gonna be fun to talk about. So,
well, I mean, I thought it would be great to do something like a romance because one, we've not done one before, and two, it's summer.
Yeah.
It's something
a little light, light
on the light side.
Yeah.
Give me my angst and longing.
Yes.
Anthony
I love it when authors can do angst and longing.
I feel like Amalola trying to give me examples.
Do it well. Do it well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but Loving Donovan is a tragedy, essentially.
Yeah.
Tragic.
I'm going to balance. Oh God!
God damn! That is not balanced. That is not that is a huge
tragic.
tip of the scale.
That is definitely going to balance it because I read that years ago. I read that book years ago. And
I refuse. Somebody called it tragedy
I tried to
porn,
read
and
the
I was
first
like, no, I'm
pages,
good.
and then I bugged out, so I have to go back and read it again.
Yeah, I read it years ago.
Somebody called it tragedy porn in their review of it after they finished reading, and I was like, I'm good. I'm good. I live life. I am.
Now it's also
one
like
of the best books that they've read. They live.
It's one of those things where also like you gotta suspend your disbelief, because at one point I said, "Okay, this is
you scared the shit out of me.
Wild." I said, "This is
Amalola says I just don't do romance too well." Oh, Amalola,
and that's understandable. You'll be reading it with us.
What don't you like about romance? Like, what's a common misconception about it, or like?
I think people think romance is cheesy. I think that is people that don't read it. I think it's because they think it's cheesy.
Cliche.
Yeah.
Tropes. Probably.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have an issue with the trope side of it. And that's, I mean, I don't read a lot of contemporary romance. A lot of the romance that I read is like sci-fi or historical romance. I don't read a lot of contemporary romance.
Yeah.
Well, that's act like you're talking to people, because they do that to me all day. She said some of the dialogue sends me eye rolling. That's a regular day in the life for me. Same. Yeah, I used to read. I used to only read romance when I was. I won't say who I read. If you Black from the station, you know who I read. But I used to read nothing but VC. when I
Oh,
was a
BC
kid.
Andrews?
I went
Yeah.
from VC Andrews to Amityville Horror. Like
Oh, wow.
night
That's
and
quite the
day.
jump, Tatiana.
Mhm.
Tatiana went to the river and then jumped off the cliff after.
The
Like,
difference was night and day. Yeah.
Oh,
So and
anyway.
then
Anyway.
when I got and then as I got older, I read what Terry McMillan. So yeah, I read a lot of contemporary, a lot more
Yeah, Danielle
contemporary romances
Steele.
when I
Yeah.
was
No,
younger.
I'm gonna choose something real good. Let's do
Mm.
something good.
I never read Danielle Steele because my mama called Danielle Steele books a tearjerker, and my mama don't cry. So I'm a little bitch. I can cry at the drop of a dime. I put on Meet the Robinsons. When you get to the end of the movie and Rob Thomas starts singing Little Wonders, I am a wreck. So I was like, nope, nope.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna say goodbye to you guys.
Yes,
Thanks so
thank y'all
much
so much.
for coming and discussing Country Place with us.
Yes.
And we'll be back in July for our summer read. I'll let you know what it is before, I promise. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.